here we are on merry-go-round. This is the first game of the winner's match, as we did give PsyRex a walkover over Elkie, who is still stuck at work or something. So unfortunately could not show up apparently for this. But in either case, his opponent, who we just saw win a Series 2-1, it is our orange Zerg player. He is
Gallahad.
And his opponent down on the bottom middle of the map, our red Zerg player. He is from Team All In.
All inspiration, PsyRex.
PsyRex, of course, a terrifying creature, does have the small impediment of tiny hands in front of him like a T-Rex. However, given that he can move things with his mind, doesn't need hands. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Both of them going down for similar strategies, going for the hatchery first, then getting the spawning pools here. Now I believe both aware, or at least PsyRex aware where his opponent is. Gallahad, by process of elimination, probably has figured that out, and we'll see firsthand in just a second. I think he does just know because he stopped that one. Both hatcheries are up, queens obviously on the way, and we've got gas being taken by both players. So fairly mirrored thus far in the game, only slight variations in lings coming out, 2 versus 4 coming out so far, and queens obviously being made at both locations. No indication on real long-term strategy just yet, although we do have Gallahad, both players actually going past the 100 gas. PsyRex, however, is actually pulling off of his gas and is just now started at speed, where his opponent Gallahad, who in the first 2 games against a Protoss player didn't go for speed, is now doing that, but certainly a bit later than he actually could have, as he is still mining gas and up over 100 still. So certainly had it a fair bit faster than that. I have no idea what's playing behind me. The Baneling Nest is coming down here for Gallahad, and we've got a Roach Warren coming down for his opponent PsyRex here, forming a little bit of a wall at the natural base, but a wall behind the ramp here. So limiting mobility, obviously, as if banelings or lings kind of swoop into the mineral line, there's a place to go and kind of trap things in behind. But see how this does end up turning out. The Baneling Nest will be finishing in just a moment, kind of coinciding a bit with speed, so it could be a timing for a bit of aggression by Gallahad. However, he's actually going for his own Evo Chamber and Roach Warren, so it may turn out that this was largely defensive in nature for him. So given that he's got them, his opponent did end up cutting that corner. Could certainly work out in the advantage of PsyRex early on in this game. Got a lair coming out for Gallahad. No indication of that yet by PsyRex, and doesn't really have the gas at the moment to do it. I imagine that most of his gas will be going into upgrades before that, and potentially just getting a few roaches actually out onto the map itself, but will consume some of the early gas here. For him, however, he has gone up to 3 geysers mining. Gallahad also increasing his count to all 4. And just kind of posturing, no real aggression by either player just yet. PsyRex is going to be taking a 3rd base behind this. Queens went out and poked away PsyRex's overlords so that there was a clear path for Gallahad's drone to move on in and take this 3rd base as well, without having the watchful eye of overlords directly over him. So again, both kind of playing fairly normal, fairly passive behind this. Got the double Evo Chamber for Gallahad, which is going to allow +1/+1 compared to just +1 for his opponent, who is actually going to be doing a fairly similar thing. PsyRex coming out with the queen to try and go after this now Overseer cocoon, but he will end up spotting these roaches as they move out directly underneath it, and the Overseer, done just in time, will be chasing them down. Spine crawlers will be coming out. There's not nearly as many roaches already out on the map for Gallahad, although 6 are certainly underway, and this small group of roaches, not even that small by PsyRex, will kind of stop and pause in the middle of the map, potentially providing some more time for some other things to actually get finished. Does check this potential third base position. Overseer trailing the forest all along the way. If he does swing up to the top third base, that of course would be quite vulnerable, and he will in fact do so. This may just get killed right off the bat. I don't think Gallahad can actually afford to move out and prevent this from dying. He will kind of posture as if he could, but there's really no way to defend this, and that will just fall immediately here. I don't think he can be attacked up against these 3 spine crawlers, but nor can he actually make it out onto the map. We'll get some free roaches here, picking them off with lings, and then pull him back. Oh, he's actually going to leave 2 alive. That could have quite easily gone down there as the 2 forces kind of disengage with one another. The third base is now up and established for all in, and his creep spread already connecting these fairly well. The main, not so much so, but at least between the natural and the third base has a fairly decent creep path as the troops do start to accumulate for him. We're currently at 31 roaches to 23 roaches for his opponent. However, the upgrade advantage is going to be in Gallahad's favor at the moment, 1/1 versus just +1 for PsyRex, and that looks to be kind of accumulating as we go here, as +2 armor and attack is coming out, while +1 armor is still yet to finish for Psy. Another attempt at the third base up at the top. Also a macro hatchery here at the main base of Gallahad, and it's the army counts are pretty stacked in PsyRex's favor. Drone count is almost identical, although obviously PsyRex currently with the additional hatchery, but still leading to a 30 supply advantage for PsyRex, even though he is going to end up being down in upgrade count at this point early on in the game, although only in the armor itself. Both of their speeds are going to finish around the same time here, within 10 seconds of one another, and this may be a time that PsyRex wants to come back in and take a poke here, taking out the queen at the front of this creep spread. 3 spines now moved into a much better position here, where they can provide some coverage for that third base. Roaches poke in and immediately turn right back around, as he does not obviously want to be engaging into that position here. He'll either have to swing all the way around or find another way to do this, or come in with a much more overwhelming force. He will take another poke at it, of course, on creep. His opponent perfectly aware where he is. There comes the engagement. All 3 spines are in range. A Baneling kind of going off here. A lot of repositioning by both players. But yeah, I don't really know that PsyRex is going to be able to break that there. Again, for a brief period of time, he had +2 done prior to his opponent, but once again, the upgrade advantage just swing in favor of Gallahad, who now already has his Hydras out. Both of them, I think, made exactly 13 Hydras there at the same time, but we don't have PsyRex's actually on the map just yet. They are still under construction, or whatever you'd call it. Still in spawning mode, basically. Gallahad is now getting his third base actually up and mining as the drone transfer does come out here. He could try some sort of flanking maneuver, some sort of ling maneuver to go back in and kind of go after that third base and hope to pull the army out of position, but right now they're at a little bit of a stalemate against each other. As it's going to be hard for PsyRex to move into this concave, move into these spines, particularly with a slight upgrade disadvantage, but he will be coming in now And once again, yeah, the concave does look really good for Gallahad, but there is a lot of force here for PsyRex. The army supply is almost exactly even, literally within 4 supply of one another. He's target firing down these spine crawlers, but losing a lot of that roach cover, and he is pushed back here. Does get away with most of the hydras still intact, 8 of them, but the roaches were the thing that was going down fast, and once they left those exposed, that would have been a bit of an issue for his opponent. So does wisely pull back, and Gallahad now actually the one with about a 20 supply lead. So in those few little skirmishes did end up taking a little bit of an upper hand here, but we now have the actual upgrades evening out for both players. Gallahad still kind of living and dying on the location of these spines. PsyRex has established a 4th base behind this, which obviously we're going to have Gallahad continue along that route, as he is going to be mining out his main base fairly soon as well. So we'll have to keep it going, and there we have a 4th base coming down on the high ground there. So fairly evenly matched at this point. Gallahad certainly with a slight advantage in terms of upgrades, and now actually going for burrow, muscular augments. His army supply, is more what I meant. The upgrades are actually even, other than these ones that are on the way, the burrow and speed, obviously, for the hydras. But we've got the hive coming out for PsyRex, who did put down an infestation pit a little while ago, which is sitting at the 3rd base here next to the hydra den. If he does lose that position, obviously could be a bit of a problem. One thing that could be quite scary, we'll see if Gallahad ever does notice, is there is just a fleet of overlords sitting at the central watchtower, but he will come in here now trying to get in a good position. Some of PsyRex's army is being completely choked out. We've got a much better position for Gallahad at this point, as we got PsyRex coming in through a choked position, not able to get his entire force to actually fire here, and Gallahad is taking a huge advantage in this fight. He will overrun this position, and this is what I was worried about with the location of the tech. He will try and chase the forces down, but now go after the infestation pit, go after the hydralisk den, and he will likely be cleaning up not only these reinforcements, but both hatcheries in this location. There were so many eggs in this one basket here that the loss of this position is likely going to be unrecoverable. He will come in trying to get an engagement here now, as drones do fall behind this. Still can't get the type of engagement he does want, as Gallahad's army will swing on in and once again end up in a pretty decent concave against his opponent. And Gallahad does take that one. I won't say handily, but he started off, I think, with a bit of a disadvantage, at least numerically, in terms of supply there. Held on to a fairly well-constructed position with the spines that he had between his natural and 3rd base, and then moved out at an appropriate time in the appropriate way and took advantage of the building placement and just some of the terrain there. So we are here on game number 2 on Overgrowth here. We have the winner of game number 1, our orange Zerg player, up here on the top right-hand side of the map. And really quickly, he is...
All Inspiration.
And the guy with Lings on the way Gallahad from Team All In the red is...
Rex.
Obviously
All
going for the early pool there.
PsyRex.
He gets a spine crawler coming down in the main base of Gallahad. We'll have to see if his opponent stops and bothers to kill the hatchery at the natural, or whether he'll go right up. It looks like he will force the cancel here on the low ground. This may be plenty of time to allow the spine crawler up top to finish. A little bit of hesitation by the Lings there, and we'll try and work in, trying to go to town on this spine crawler here. Gets a good surround with the drones. A few of them will die, actually not that many. Only 3 of them did end up dying there. Doing pretty well. Gallahad does maintain The drone lead here, PsyRex, is putting down an expansion on his end of things and will once again deny this drone from going down. So a fourth one will die before sixlings come down to kind of clean out this position. And another reinforcing drone comes through, and he will get this one down at least. So oddly enough, at the end of that, it ends up being, despite initially being in Gallahad's favor, it does end up looking like PsyRex is the one that comes out ahead in the drone count. But of course, there is a spline up. There is a clean out already for Gallahad. So they're going to end up being relatively even here. Gallahad does have the advantage in the lings, which he could certainly make some use of. Going here could at least force out an equivalent amount by his opponent if he does choose to move across. If he gets this Overlord here, that would certainly be a big pickup as well, but he's going to have to chase it for a while to do so at least. But every little bit when you kind of start both at fairly low economies does end up helping the situation out. And will end up taking this down, will temporarily end up supply blocking his opponent until these two Overlords are down, which pop out. Actually, just one of them bring him right up. Still cannot end up constructing more units until the second. And that may allow a little bit of catch-up time on drones. However, it looks like that's not what Gallahad is going to opt to do, as he puts down a baneling nest in his main base here. And looks like he's going to be kind of countering this with a fair bit of aggression and just try and get the game kind of ended. Roach Warren coming down for PsyRex on his side of things. The drone count massively now in his favor at 32 drones, 31 after the extractor, compared to only 15 drones by his opponent. So really needs to get a lot of damage done with these lings if he plans to make a go of it, or with the banelings there as well. But certainly has some pretty big numbers at the moment, and more lings coming out to join this. We've got 30 lings already out. Speed does finish, and they may not even need to turn into banelings. There's just a very overwhelming number here, and I don't know how PsyRex is going to end up defending this. A lot of drones are going to die here very quickly. Queen does fall. Everything is just kind of going down to 13 drones remaining. These will fall. Queen goes down, and there's just nothing to deal with this. Even the roaches will just get completely bypassed by the lings, who just have no reason to actually fight them. Only 4 drones are alive as they get them in a choke, but it's way too late by then with just 1 drone left. Gallahad does kind of counterpunch there quite strongly.